Hey, this is my Line 6 Helix review. I'm only going to cover a couple topics. I mean, I can probably spend hours on this, and I don't want to bore everyone to death with a bunch of details, but I'm just going to cover a couple topics. Number one, a lot of people ask me, especially when I posted pictures of it the other day, like, why do you use that, and what are the benefits and stuff like that? And that's a very good question. It really is. And please keep in mind that when I compare this to using amplifiers and stuff like that, I'm not being derogatory or negative about using amplifiers. There's plenty of people out there that use amplifiers, and I totally respect that. There's nothing wrong with it. There's really no right or wrong. It's just what works for you when it comes to this. And I used to use amplifiers too. I had a Mesa Boogie dual rec roadster, and it was a combo amp, and I also had a 412 speaker cabinet with it, and an array of effects pedals, and a switching system. I had all that stuff, and it was great. It was a great sounding rig that I had, and I loved it. But when I discovered this type of stuff, I mean, I guess I'll get into why I use this now. Is let's face it, guys. I mean, I'm talking to all the guitar players out there. A lot of us, when we perform, we're on shows with several other bands, and you don't really get a sound check. You get a line check, and we call it kind of like the blow and go sound check kind of thing. You got like 10 to 15 minutes to get all your stuff on stage, set it up, and then hope that you can at least get some sort of line check or a quick sound check before you start your show. And when you have that much gear, it's very hard to get all that stuff on stage. And even if you can, and I'm sure some of you guys are like, well, yeah, I always get all my stuff on there. Well, I'm sure you do, but it's still not easy. It's still a lot of gear to set up. And then if there's something wrong, well, troubleshooting all those cables and all the stuff that's associated with that gear, it could get pretty difficult, especially in a high tension kind of atmosphere when you got to hurry up and go. With this unit, I don't have those issues. I put it on the floor, I turn it on, I plug it in, and I'm on my way. I don't have to worry about being mic'd improperly or anything. I just plug two XLRs or quarter-inch jacks into it, and I'm directly into the board. I have monitors on stage so I can hear myself. He just puts me in the monitor a little bit, and I'm stereo, which is a huge difference between, going on stage with an amplifier without stereo. I mean, all my effects are stereo, so I got ping pong delay. All my stuff can be panned, and I just have a really big sound live. And I'll be honest with you, whenever we play out, I get guys, whether they're from the audience or other bands that we played with, whether they're local or nationals, they all, not all, but a lot of them will peek over my monitor and be like, well, because they know I'm not using an amp because they don't see one on stage with me. And they're always like pointing at it like, that's what you're using? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God, it sounds great, and they can't believe how much sound I get out of this thing. And I got to tell you, I'm sold. I mean, I really am. There's really no reason for me to go out and buy an amplifier. When I have all the amplifiers that I would ever consider buying that are modeled in here. And let me get into the modeling really quick. Line 6 went back to square one, with the modeling. So this isn't an upgrade from the HD500X series. This is a scrap, start over, and technology has changed, so let's go ahead and remodel all these amplifiers from scratch using all the new technology and things and experiences that they've had from the past. So they took all the amplifiers, and it took them a month on each amp to model it, and they just took it circuit by circuit and made each circuit do what it needed to do in the modeling software, and before they moved on to the next one. And they did it with the effects and the amplifiers, and the microphones, the speaker cabinets, everything. You can pick whatever speaker cabinet you want with whatever speakers you want. You can pick whatever microphone you want. You can even pick the distance that the microphone is from the speaker. Some of you, it might sound a little overwhelming, but it's not. It's very easy. They're options. And What's nice about this though is it's very intuitive, and it's set up in such a way that when you pick an amplifier, everything's pretty much there for you. Um, it's just a matter of, well, how do you like it? So now you could tweak it the way you like it. You could pick a different microphone, you could pick a different speaker cabinet, you could change all the settings on the amplifier just like you would on an amplifier that you have physically in front of you. All the settings are there, they're identical. And I would really say that even if you owned, let's say like a PV5150, if you own one of those, there's one of those in here, and if we did like a blind test, I don't think you would know the difference. I really don't. If they were set up the same way, you could play through the pedal board and you could play through yours, and I honestly don't think that you would notice the difference between that, the Mesa Boogie, all the amplifiers that are in here. I mean, they are identical. And now I'll cover tone as well. I mean, obviously we're all guitar players. We love tone. We want our tone to be exactly what it should be. There shouldn't be anything annoying about it. There shouldn't be anything off-putting about it. And it should be very inspiring to play through, and for you and for your audience to listen to. It should sit well in a mix, in a studio, at practice, and in a live situation. And the tone in this is unbelievable. I could show you a bunch of different tone demonstrations and stuff, but I mean, I'm recording this with my phone, so you're not really going to get a true representation of what the tone's really like. But the intro that I did before this is done with my phone, recording it, obviously. But it does sound amazing. I mean, you can hear the notes very well. And even the bottom strings. I mean, I could demonstrate for you, you know, right now. So you got the dark tones, you know, all the strings ring through really nice. I mean, there's no, it doesn't sound digital at all. It sounds very natural. And it feels natural too. It really does. You know, so we could cover also, and I know this sounds like I'm comparing this to amplifiers, but that's really what this is. It's like you're either going to use an amp or you're going to use something like this. And once again, use an amp, God bless you. It's not a big deal. Use an amplifier. This is just what I choose to use, and I'm explaining why I choose to use it. You know, if you buy an amplifier, I mean, you're going to spend $2,000. You're going to spend $2,000 on an amp pad, especially if it's a Mesa, or if it's a you know, the 5150 or Engel, all those amps. I mean, they're going to be very expensive, and you can't just buy that. You got to buy a cabinet, a speaker cabinet. So you got to get that. So now you're up around $3,000 or higher. And then let's face it, you're going to use some pedals. You're going to use maybe like a delay pedal, a chorus pedal, a flanger maybe. And a lot of you guys are probably going to use, like if you play leads and stuff, you're probably going to use something to piss it off a little bit, like a grid slammer or a preamp or some kind of tube screamer or overdrive or something like that, because amps tend to be a little flubby. They tend to be a little unresponsive, especially the Mesa Boogies. The Mesa Boogie's all about tone. They're great tone amps, but you know, you got to slap them in the rear end a little bit to get them to have a good harmonic response and a sustain, and to have the, you know, that bite you need when you're doing solos and digging in and playing fast. So you're going to have to get something on the front end of that to give you that boost. With this particular unit, you don't need to do that because all those things are in here. There's several preamps and several overdrives and different things that you can add to this to make it whatever you want. And you don't have to go to a store and buy one, take it home, and hope it works. And if it doesn't, go back and, you know, keep going back and forth until you find something that works. You could turn a knob. If it doesn't work, turn the knob again and pick a different one until you find one. There's several options of everything, including delays, including chorus pedals, flangers, you know, you name it. There's tons of options in here, and then they're all tweakable as well. So as far as my review of this goes, I say that Line 6 knocked it out of the park. For $1,500, this is a very competitive unit with the Kempers and the the Axe Effects units out there, and at this price point, I honestly feel like you're not sacrificing anything. I feel like you're getting something that's every bit as good as those units, without having to pay all that money for that. Because like I said, they went back to the basics and went back to square one on the modeling and started all over again, and I think they really did a great job. I used to own a Mesa Boogie amp, and I had it for a number of years and loved it, and I have the Mesa Boogie amplifier model in here, and it's very reminiscent of what I owned. I love it, and it sounds amazing. It plays really well. I have a pedal right in front of it to make it more responsive, just like the amp that I bought was the same thing, and it does everything that I want it to do. And you even have a noise gate on here, so if you would like to go in with high gain, it'll cut the noise right out. There's all kinds of different features. Now I'm going to show you a couple things, and that this will do, and then that'll be pretty much my review of this. Like I said, I could go on and on and on, but I would bore the heck out of you guys with all the details. It's really something that you have to experience for yourself to get to know. But as far as I'm concerned, this thing is it's staying with me. I'm not returning it. I absolutely love this pedal board, and I will never switch back to using amplifiers because of the features, the ease of use, the price, the convenience, and I did not sacrifice tone. In fact, if you ask me, I feel like I have better tone than I would have otherwise, because everything's so customizable and so tweakable with this that, if you buy an amplifier, you're only going to get what that amplifier will give you. It's not going to give you anything more. With this, I'm not stuck with that amplifier the way it comes out of the factory. I can fine tune it. I could change microphones. I could change distance of microphones. I could put pedals in front of it or behind it to enhance things and make it better, and make it my own customizable sound. And I don't have to deal with all the shortcomings that amps come with, because let's face it, guys, you know just as well as I do, there's guys that buy amps, they send them out to get hot rodded and brought back, and they spend a lot of money, $1,500 to $2,000 on having their amps hot rodded. So it does what it's supposed to do from the factory, but it doesn't, and you got to spend all that money. You don't have to do that now. With this, a turn of a few knobs and your amp's hot rodded, everything's the way it should be, and you didn't have to spend a bunch of money on it. And that to me is a huge, huge, huge advantage. Alright, here's the pedal board here. I'm going to zoom in here and show you. This is what I'm using, the Cali rectifier. And that's basically, it's a Mesa Boogie. So that's just what they call it. You can see the different settings, the drive, the different tone settings and EQ. And then I switch pages here. There's different other things that you can change. And then here's where you can pick the microphone. I have a 57 on it right now, and the distance is 1 inch from the speaker cabinet. I could change all that stuff whenever I want. Okay, and then there's all my effects up here. I could put 4 amplifiers on here. I could put 2 on one side and 2 on the other, which is a great thing that you can do as well. I can change speaker cabinets, all that kind of stuff. Something else I want to show you really quick that you can't do with amplifiers is this right here. On my piezo setting, it's more of an acoustic type sound, because I have piezo pickups in my guitars. Right here, so here's your normal effects loop right here. So I have a delay and then your typical reverb that you have together on a setting such as this with piezo pickups. The problem is the delay is feeding into the reverb, which it makes it a little bit muddy. Well, on this particular unit, what I can do to fix that is I could take the reverb and put it on its own line. So now the delay and the reverb are on their own effects loops separately, independent of each other, so you don't have to worry about any muddiness at all and them interfering with each other. And you could do that with all the effects if you want. You can put them on their own loop so that they don't feed into each other, because let's face it, some effects have a kind of a negative impact on others, and this is your workaround for it, and it really helps with that. Also, let's go into the tuner. When you're on stage and you need to tune your guitar, I mean, look at that. Look how big that display is. You know, and it's very accurate. Looks like I'm a little off on my strings here, but you're very accurate. You can see it from, you know, quite a distance away. It's, you don't have to squint to see it. It's very big, very handy, and it mutes your guitar completely, so you don't have to worry about the audience hearing you tune. So now, as far as ins and outs goes, you can go online and check all that out on Line 6's website and on YouTube and stuff like that. There's all kinds of guys showing that. It's got more ins and outs than you'll ever need. So, you know, go ahead and check that out. The main ones that I use is obviously the guitar in and the XLR and the 1/4 inch out, depending on where I'm at and what I'm doing. But that's pretty much my review. I know it was quick as far as, you know, looking at the pedal board and stuff, but like I said, I can bore you to death with all the different features and stuff. But the thing I would recommend is that you try it out for yourself, because we're all different and we're all going to be looking for different things and different reasons why this would be an option for us. So you need to dig into it and figure that out. But if I could sum this thing up quickly, it's endless options, and it's very inspiring to use and to play, and it's easy to use. It's very convenient. It's compact. It doesn't take up a lot of room, obviously, you know, with the looper in it, you can have a backing track to play, you know, write your solos with and everything, and it's just endless features, and that's what I really like about it. And honestly, the tone is sick. It's not even like the tone is just good, it's sick. It's really good tone. So go out and check one out. Thanks for watching.